Didn't I help cop copy edit one of yours?
What? Sci-Fi fives or
One of your Sci-Fi 5
that
things?
sounds like
Or
something I
like I
might have
Yeah,
sent
just
you,
read
right?
it?
I helped you with a Kong one.
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Hey Mark, actually turn your gain down slightly if you can.
No!
He said distortedly. Yes.
How's
uh,
that? Is that better?
actually maybe
Is
between
it
the two.
worse?
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. It's better. It's just quieter now. So I'm trying to make you sound your best. Make you sound like minted gold.
Thank you.
Sound
You're a
of
good producer.
the sound of minted gold.
Producer. How's that? How's that, producer?
I think we're doing good. Yeah.
Okay.
50.
Now, with my luck, my UPS will start beeping because his battery's been dying for 6 months. You
Oh
hear
my
this beep,
God.
beep, 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 beep. I'll
We'll
Yeah,
just
I
we'll
bought
just
use
one of those for my mom and it's like horrible.
we'll just call
Is
that
that
the
a better?
blip if that happens. That's the
it.
blip we're
It's
hearing.
great. Yeah.
That's the next movie. I don't know about you guys. I'm gonna try to not cross over into the next one since we have to do the fucking next one.
Right.
Yeah, in
Like
like
in
two
three
episodes
weeks.
time.
Yeah.
So I think we can keep. I mean, I haven't watched. Well, I watched Endgame like a year and a half ago, but yeah, that's enough time to not talk about it. I guess I can talk about Infinity War.
I watched
Well,
it in 2019 whenever it came
oh,
out.
Endgame,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. No,
I don't think I've watched it since then.
I watched. I did a rewatch of Phase later Marvels because I got all the Blu-rays at the used store last year. So
I
like,
did a
Yeah.
rewatch of all of them when um, James and Dave did Marvel Calls.
oh right, they gonna chase Star calls with that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I am. Yeah.
I was you say chased, it was like 3 years later.
Right. So I had anyway, I finally got around to seeing Ragnarok again and Black Panther again and all that stuff and I went up to Endgame and
Yeah, I'm wearing
that
my only MCU shirt, which is
what's that? Black Panther?
Black
Okay.
Panther.
Do
Nice.
I own an MCU shirt? I think no. I do own Star Wars shirts, but I don't think I
I
have
think I
any.
have a Marvel shirt I could have put on, but maybe I'll do it for Endgame.
Somewhere I have a Spider-Man costume and it's deep in the recesses of my closet and I can't find it. And also it
I have a
has little
Spider-Man
holes
costume,
in
but
it
it's in the
now.
UK,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Although mine's starting to get
Well,
little tiny holes in it, so I guess it's kind of past its shelf life now. But hey, I got some fucking use out of my Spider-Man costume.
I'm aware. You would tell us, oh yeah, I'm being a pirate for Halloween, and then on day 2 you're Spider-Man.
Yeah, the pirate stuff
Like four
sucks.
years in a row.
you
Yeah.
know what would be cool though? Pirate Spider-Man.
Oh, well,
I'm
I
sure
would
it showed up in one of the Spider-Verses.
it did, yeah. I just started mixing and matching all my costumes. Hold on, I'll see if I can come up. I got a good picture of the time it got the most insane, but now that I'm wasting everyone's time,
Yay.
wasting time. Da-da-da-da. Anyway, I can look for this and we could probably just start the shit. So that was
Hmm.
57, by the way, just because I
Okay.
almost forgot the number.
Oh, you recorded all that pre-game?
I
Cool.
recorded all that shit.
All right.
In at number 57, our hero Thanos is on a legendary quest to acquire 6 magic stones.
So you have a different view of this movie.
I mean, that's how the film is structured and
Hey,
made.
Yeah, yeah, it
speak for
is.
yourself. Actually, I have a major problem with this movie, and it's like, why didn't they give Thanos 6 fingers? Because he had 6 stones on his gauntlet. So it should have been six. He
Because
should
when
have been
that
six
last one went
fingers.
in, it went right, and that was cool.
I didn't notice.
Okay.
He should have had six
Um.
fingers because you can
Anyway,
do anything with CGI magic.
any dork worth their salt has already figured out today's movie is Infinity War. It's Films and Filth, the Infinity War of podcasting. Nah, we're better than that. We're better than that. I like this movie, but we're better than that. Hi, it's Matt here.
Hi, it's Infinite Mark. I will be talking the whole time.
Hmm.
I
Blah
am the
blah
Luke
blah.
Stone.
Ah, and bopping in. Brian's back. When was the last time you were here? Been a
Um,
few
Wasn't that
episodes.
long
I
ago.
could look at
months
the list that
ago,
tells me, I suppose. That could be something I could do.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm thinking of Planet of the Apes.
Oh,
You
yeah,
I
I
were
think it
was
was
gonna say I probably
Amadeus.
heard your voice elsewhere in the meantime.
Amadeus. Okay,
Amadeus.
just wanted to put my finger
uh
on that out of curiosity. Um,
I wish Amadeus had wielded the Infinity Stones.
I
I
don't
mean
think I want to live
Salieri.
in the world he would create any more than I live in the
like
world
like
Thanos create.
Yeah.
like Goofy Tom Hulse or F. Murray Abraham. You know what? If this were in the
Actually, yeah,
80s, F. Murray
Salieri.
Abraham would have made perfect sense
Yes.
as Thanos in the 80s.
Well, you
I
know that
guess
Jim
he's a little slight. I
Jim
guess.
Starlin, who was Thanos' co-creator, wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger to play him.
Hell yeah. Would have been a
I
better
mean,
film.
well,
I mean,
he was
Matt,
yeah.
destined for
you know
Mr.
you're not going to
Freeze.
convince me otherwise on that.
I'm saying
Actually,
if he
I
was
was trying
Santa,
to think if
hold
I
on, Mark,
convinced
shut up.
myself.
I have a very important
Blah, blah, blah,
argument
blah,
for
blah,
Luke
blah.
here. If if Arnold had been Thanos in the 80s, he would not have been Mr. Freeze in the 90s, possibly.
Hmm.
You
Huh.
get one. You
Oh,
want him
no, sorry.
Thanos,
I
you want
thought we
him
were
Mr.
talking about
Freeze.
him being Thanos in this film.
Oh, no. I'm talking about him in the
I
80s
mean,
when
he
it would
could
have
have
made.
been.
Yeah, I guess he
Why
could have been
not?
this because he's yeah,
This is
okay.
just
It's all
computers.
CGI anyway.
It's just
Okay.
computers. Who cares? You could use AI to make his voice and put him in it. Who
Okay.
put
Well,
him in
let's
it
not
now?
do
You
that.
could though.
Okay.
I mean, Disney would, wouldn't they? Ask
Yeah.
Darth Vader at the end of the Kenobi series that James Earl Jones had nothing to do with.
So
They'd do it.
is this our
I see you, Disney.
is this our first actual Marvel? Because
Like MCU.
yeah, Captain America
Yeah.
1990 certainly doesn't count. I mean, Spider-Verse is great, but it doesn't count as MCU, right? So, and
Are
until
these the only two who
And
make the list?
I think that might be the
yeah.
case, which
Yes.
is okay. It is an interesting thing just because I guess this is just the Centrox of the MCU. Like, I'm not even sure it's that the movies are that good, but it's just like I want to acknowledge the MCU and I give a high rating to Infinity War and the movie I'm not supposed to bring up in this episode.
Oh, people were extremely hyped after this film. Like,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean that's the question I think this podcast is primarily going to be about, and it is an interesting question. Like, I love watching this film and watching the next one, but are they films or are they just
Mm.
episodes of a TV series?
Okay, well, we'll get around to that. It's worth mentioning. But yeah,
And
I think.
I think the answer is different for the two.
Mm.
I think that they are basically like the special features from 18 different DVDs put together.
Okay, I can go with that. Yeah.
Black Panther came out this year, and part of why apparently they were hesitant to do this, but part of why the Wakanda thing happens at the end that is exactly like the Wakanda thing that happens at the end of Black Panther is they just had all the extras still there, so they're like, yeah, you guys, let's just do another one of these.
I think this one's better.
I I don't know if I agree. I think Black Panther is better aside from the ending being the CGI Drek.
Right,
I
but a
think
lot of
Black
that's on the
Panther is
field.
better.
Um,
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Maybe the scene is better in this because there's like zombie dogs and stuff.
mm,
But
okay.
I don't know.
I
I think Black Panther is a better movie, but it's
I
at
agree with
7.3,
that.
so everyone's wrong.
Everyone's wrong. Well, let's get into your Marvel history. I've been before. I was an X-Men obsessor. I did a little bit of Spider-Man, just a little bit of Avengers and Captain America. Obviously, the movies are what turned me. I never really read Iron Man comics, for example, you know? And
That's funny because the only comics I remember reading was some hand-me-down Iron Man comics that I got from a neighbor or something when I was a kid. It's about the only Marvel stuff I'd ever read, and it was funny because in those particular issues was a story of the Mandarin, who was portrayed
Mhm.
very stereotypically Chinese wizard kind of guy, and he had 10 rings. I mean, little finger rings, and each had like a heat ray or a gravity ray or some crazy thing like that on them. And so when Iron Man 3 came out and we saw the Mandarin, I was very disappointed because, well, first of all, he was just, who was it? Ben Kingsley pretending to be. And then later
Yeah.
on, they did the Legend of the Ten Rings more recently, and they're not even rings; they're just mystical bracelets that you can throw around and do things. It's like I'm still waiting for those rings I saw in the comic in 1970.
I will say Iron Man 3, like, yeah, you go in and you're like, what? That's a Mandarin? And ooh, but then as the movie sits in your brain, and I think, I don't know, I think a lot of people have come around to Iron Man 3 is pretty good. Except for, again,
My
maybe the
problem with Iron
climax.
Man 3 was always that it ended with the hero having an army of indestructible robots, which is
Again, the
like
ending.
not ideal. But
The ending
then
is awful.
they followed that up with Age of Ultron, which was like, yeah, no, it's not good that he has an army of robots at his back and cool.
Okay, well, that
So
works
that
it out.
Age
I,
of Ultron retroactively makes Iron Man 3 better, I think.
Mm.
Iron Man 3's ending, like the whole thing where he's like, "Well, I had the surgery to fix my heart," made me enraged because that was part of what made the first two Iron Man movies good was he had that vulnerability, and for him to just be like, "No, I'm done," and I blew up like, and
I'm pretty sure that's what they
I don't
do
know
in
if
the
you guys
comic
remember
too.
this, but at the end of Iron Man 3, he's like, "I'm better now. I'm gonna blow up all my suits." It has him blowing them all up, and
Yeah,
then
and
he
then they
just has
just
them again.
Then
one
he blew
movie
up
later,
So
it's
more.
like, oh no, I still have them.
That's
So I
yeah.
think there's a lot of good things in Iron Man 3, but also it's like the Mandarin thing, like on paper, I love that funny subversion and make everybody who wanted the Asian stereotype mad, but it also I find it kind of annoying, and I think it's like the general problem I have with contrarianism, where I want the sincere thing. Like Guardians of the Galaxy worked really well for me because it was like incredibly heart on the sleeve sincere, like
Mm.
probably all of them really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even
Like
though
you think of them as the comedy ones, but when they get emotional, they don't. Like, they don't do the Thor Ragnarok thing where it's a comedy film, and at the end, Asgard is destroyed, and it should be a serious moment, but you can't stop making jokes. In Guardians, when you get
yeah,
to those serious moments, they do stop making
He
jokes.
laughs because he cries.
Marvel has a weird problem with like an emotional
Well, yeah,
discord,
that's
I
like
guess.
everyone now talks about like Marvel writing and Marvel filmmaking and how it's every like it's like they just have a stock collection of lines they get the actors to do in front of a green screen and then they make a film out of it later.
Well, it's like Thanos. They do a great job with Thanos in this movie. He is a character. He's an
Mm.
interesting character with depth. You can also see why he's a piece of garbage, asshole, abuser.
Hmm.
Like you can see that run through the whole thing. But like all of his squad doesn't make any sense. He has like a religious fanatic, and then a bunch of dudes are just like, "Oh, I'll kill you,"
Well,
and
those
then a
are the
bunch of
people that would hang out
dogs.
with him.
I guess,
Those are
but
people
it's
like,
like,
sure,
That's
let's
pretty
kill half the
realistic cult
universe.
leader shit, to be fair.
okay. I mean,
You have the true
yeah,
believers and you have the
yes.
ones who are just there because it's a laugh.
But it's still like they keep giving short shrift to their bad guys. In this case, they like make one bad guy sort of a character. They make a bad guy a character, but then everything else is sort of a dumb stereotype. And it's like this would have been a good chance for them to do an ensemble, but it's like they always just, and I don't know, spoilers for the next movie, it gets worse to me.
Hey, I was like, it's weird. Again, I think Infinity War is so high on this list as a signifier, but I am curious what actually would be your favorite Marvel film. I think I'm just gonna go with the boring answer of Winter Soldier still being the best, partly because it just gets out of that box somewhat, and that's the one that makes that aesthetic that we all hate, but it was fine in that movie, you know? Like everything's concrete and gray kind of starts there, which looks
There's,
cool there, but got old 5 years
you're
later.
talking specifically the MCU movies, right?
If you want to add a rider, go for it, but I
Well, no,
guess you're
because I would say
first.
I
Spider-Man
think
too,
you
right? But
Yeah. Okay. How
I
about
think you have
MCU's?
to I think well let's stick to MCU because that's such a specific thing, right? Like I mean if we're going to go Marvel properties then I don't know. I also would probably have to say Spider-Man 2, honestly. I
Wait, you
mean,
said you're gonna stick to it, and then you gave the other answer?
no, I'm saying if I was, but
Right.
I'm
Right.
not.
Okay. How about
And
within MCU?
that's actually kind of a hard question, but um
um,
Winter Soldier, I was like, there's no like but for me with that movie. I'm like,
mm,
Ragnarok, but like you said, it's a little bit
okay,
silly.
so
Black Panther, but the climax kind of eats it.
head pick Guardians of the Galaxy. I think the first one's great, and I think the trilogy all lands.
I might say
Okay.
Heart
the
pick
third.
is, of course, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Even though I
Huh.
know in my head that's not a good film,
Yeah. See, I can't choose that
I
because I.
I can
No,
I
I know you
liked it.
watch
can.
me.
No, once I realized I couldn't just sit down and rewatch a film, like you said, you can go to the end where all the Spider-Man get together and it's fantastic, but the hour leading up to it's a little bit like, Um, hey, Brian, you got a favorite MCU pick with the writer? I guess you can go outside if you want to.
Well, in a way, this it's not trilogy, duology, whatever, of Infinity War Endgame was such a culmination. It was like kind of amazing how well they pulled it off, integrating all these characters together over 10 years. I just think it has a very epic feel to it. I mean, you really were excited to go in. It's like, okay, now, now we're gonna like get this giant payoff of all this stuff, and in a way, nothing has really gotten quite as epic feeling since. I don't know how they're going to ever do it again. If there's ever going to be another major, nexus of MCU stuff. But
Yeah.
in terms of I'm just enjoying it, I think weirdly enough, I like Doctor Strange because I like Benedict Cumberbatch getting the crap kicked out of him for half the movie until he finally got off of his high horse and owned up to what he was doing and became Doctor Strange. And that one kind of I found very entertaining. So
That one's very close to being my answer, but I guess the snark level is so high. Again, and Doctor Strange itself is fine, but now that we've had so much Marvel snark, you're just
Well,
like,
so yeah, I liked Doctor Strange until I saw him and Iron Man together in this film, and I was like, oh, they're the same shtick. They're just both
Oh, yeah,
complete
because
arrogant men.
yeah.
well, that was the thing with I don't know. They sort of had the same origin story, and
Hmm.
but I mean, the thing is, I don't think Benedict Cumberbatch gets enough credit for like how good he is at playing Doctor. I don't know. That's not controversial. Like Benedict Cumberbatch, good actor, but I think he
Mm.
stands out even among everyone in all these things.
have you seen the movie? Maybe I showed it to you, the movie poster with the balding Benedict Cumberbatch, and it's like really unsettling.
No,
I'll have to
well,
look
movie
that up.
poster for what?
Give me a moment of man in the chair research to get you that one. But it's real. Just seeing Benedict Cumberbatch balding is like for some reason it's really unsettling looking.
I think that's one thing. The first Avengers film, obviously, it's not as epic as the amount of stuff they bring together in this one, but like it just had those few characters like Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, and those four characters were so different, and they'd each had like a very standalone film, and then you bring them together, it worked so well. Like that film was fun when it was just those four guys in a room because you knew and loved those characters and they bounced off each other really well. I think the film falls apart a little bit in the final act when it's just like four indestructible gods tearing their way through a paper army and there's zero tension. But also, it kind of earns one of those big heroic moments, so you don't really mind, especially on a first watch. Like Avengers is another one. A lot of the MCU is better on the first watch than it is ever again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of okay, I think, because comic books were always sort of like that. Like comic books weren't necessarily ever meant for you to keep them forever. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, that's
it's
true.
cool if you, it's fine if you
I
do.
read the hell out of some.
That's totally fine. But I'm
Oh yeah,
saying
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
like
the people
the
who made them were like designing them to be read and then you go to the next thing.
yeah.
Thrown
They
in the
wouldn't they,
garbage.
like the funny thing about comic books is obviously they are now, especially with the price of them these days, they are the sole domain of enormous dorks. But they weren't
Well,
like made for that. They were made for
um,
popular culture consumption by kids, right?
I don't
yeah, they're
think
like
I've read a
comic
comic.
strips. It wasn't like you're supposed to keep them.
I don't think I've read
I
a
have
physical
my
comic for like since for a decade and a half, maybe. It's all digital now. Yeah, for me.
I have my answer to what my favorite MCU movie is now. I'm going with the asshole answer, which is Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah,
I don't care.
my eye did stop on that one when I was looking over the list. Yeah.
I
I
think it
see.
is. I think it is the best one. I think it is.
Extremely
I could watch
fun.
that a bunch
Is
of
it
times.
rewatch? Okay, you're saying it is because I haven't
I
rewatched
could.
that one. I'm curious how it's gonna play it when I rewatch it. Also, Luke may remember I capped off that movie with a bad night, so
Oh yeah,
that's
didn't you like trip and fall or something?
I went like sidewalk diving, like I did a full like
Ugh.
fly through the air into concrete. No, gravel,
Yeah.
excuse me. The doctor
Oh,
was
that was
taking
me
me
in
out for
X-Men
like
2, and I
20.
still love X-Men 2. I
Yeah,
broke
what?
my nose after X-Men 2 because I was running around to jump on things thinking I was Wolverine.
No, I'm just saying I haven't like I when I put on Spider-Man No Way Home, I thought I was going to have a good time and I didn't. I did have a good time watching Infinity War last night. So I've actually found Infinity War to be perfectly watchable. Kind of a janky mess of a movie, but fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, speaking of which, Luke, you want to tell us what happens in this janky mess of a movie?
Many years ago, Thanos was denied the chance to save his people, so he nobly takes a quest to save the rest of the universe by killing half the population of every race. He tries to gather the six Infinity Stones to give him the power to painlessly release all of half the universe from their lives with a click of his fingers. But he's stopped at every turn by those dastardly Avengers who keep getting in his way. But although he has to sacrifice his own daughter to do it, he eventually acquires the 6 stones, clicks his fingers, and watches the sunrise on a grateful universe.
Is it completely painless that people seem a little sick to their stomach before they turn to
I think
dust?
I think it's mostly Spider-Man, and it's because he can feel it coming because of his spider sense.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
No one
well,
else
and
gets like a
Mantis.
long one like that.
Well, Mantis also is like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was all
feel
saying,
good.
but she's
Yeah,
got
she's also
weird.
like a little bit psychic, so.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt
Yep.
as much as it actually would hurt if you were like atomized and turned into dust by some kind of like reactor.
Which is more painful, getting Thanos snapped or getting put through the Star Trek transporter?
Like in the first movie, you mean?
Probably the transporter.
They were
Possible
screaming.
side effects of disillusion include nausea. Okay.
I think it seems a lot worse because you have to like you're conscious when you're turning into dust. That somehow makes it like way worse than if you just died.
Mark, that had the most horrific screen in any Star Trek movie ever. Oh wait, no, Chekhov has his
Yeah.
screams. Okay, the
Well,
second
we didn't
most
yeah.
actually
horrific
see any
scream in-
sleeping people
But he did
getting in the
survive.
snap, right? The sleeping people just never knew it happened. They probably woke up the next day going,
Uh-huh.
what happened?
They're lucky.
Ever wake up
They're
in the
the
morning and
lucky
find
ones.
yourself dead?
You wake up next to your wife and she's got another husband and he's also in the bed.
Hmm. How
That's
big's
what
the bed?
happens. I mean, it's the same bed. It's just 5 years later. You actually wake up inside him because you teleport to where you were and he's there, and then you guys are fused forever and you're a
Oh, no,
horrific
actually,
monster?
Bruce Banner is a genius, so he would have thought of that, so actually everyone who was snapped back to life was safe.
What if he didn't like that one guy?
Oh, that one guy was fucked, yeah.
Yeah, they're melded. They're an abomination of.
That's
That's
Oh,
how
I'll
we
tell
get
you
the
something that
abomination.
happened. I'll tell you something that happened on opening day. They kind of, because there's a massive crowd at the theater, they accidentally like let us into the theater too soon, and the film was still playing, and so we were walking up and it's dark and we're hearing music and we look, and of course the first thing we see is Thanos sitting there sighing, watching the sunset, and then the credits
Oh,
rolling.
man.
And it's like, oh, so this is how it ends. Thanks,
Fuck.
theater.
Well,
I
sometimes
gotta say, like, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was just gonna say because last week, Luke, you were telling me I had to go see Mission Impossible because it was cinematic. So I did.
Mm.
And cut the first hour completely. Rest of the movie
Oh,
pretty good.
absolutely, yeah.
By the way, if you had just said the gay submarine scene, I would have like instantly gone. I wouldn't have like had any thought about going or not. If you had been like gay submarine, I would have been like in the theater instantly, you know? But where was I going that? Oh, I completely spoiled myself on the movie. I was like, it's 3 hours long. I want a roadmap. So I knew when we're spending 15 minutes in an action sequence and there's not really much music and there's no dialogue, I'm like, I know where this is in the roadmap and it's fine. So where I think if I just went in like not spoiling myself, I just would be like, oh my God, when does this move on? You know?
I've
That's
I've
weird,
had that with films, like, often stuff we're watching for this, where I'm like, oh, is this going to be miserable? Is this going to bum me out? And I've just spoiled the whole film for myself. So I'm like, oh no, okay, it has a happy ending. I'll watch it.
Is this an old fart thing or spoilers or spoilers for the young? And as we get older, we're just like, screw it. I want to know what I'm getting into.
No.
I mean, the real
I
fun's in the
disagree.
details. Okay, you don't want the spoiler.
There.
No, there's just some
the-
things I care about and some things I don't.
Mm.
The exception is sometimes video games, like I've been playing the new Deltarune chapters for the last week or so, and I've just had no time. Like I keep having things pop up over and over, and I was like, how long to beat this game? And also, that game has stuff like weird secrets that you would never find by yourself on your own. Like you have to find an egg in each chapter. Anyway, I don't know how to get the egg. I had to look up how to get the egg. So
Sorry, I'm sure you just saw my eyes gamer glaze a bit, especially when you wanted a response.
what, you don't know what an egg is?
I know what an
It's an
egg
egg.
is. It's an egg. Okay, an egg is an egg. Sometimes an egg is just an egg.
A guy behind a tree hands you an egg. We don't know who the guy is yet.
To go back to Brian was talking about opening night. So this and Black Panther were like the first two I saw in Japan. And when I went to see Infinity War in Osaka, they had the gauntlet in the lobby for you to try on. And it was like a Thanos sized one, and then it had like plastic bits inside you pull to work the fingers. So as you can see in the picture I just shared in the chat, I immediately flipped the bird with it. And a bunch of like Japanese teenage boys thought it was the funniest thing they'd seen in their lives.
That's
Nice.
also the year where you learned that if you have to wear a Halloween costume for a week, you do not paint yourself purple every day.
Oh yeah, this same year I did Thanos for Halloween by cutting stripes into my beard to make the weird chin, and then coloring myself in
I was gonna say
purple.
you probably would do a pretty good Thanos since
I mean, I would do a pretty good Thanos if I put a bit more budget into it than I did that year.
Yeah, you had like a cardboard hand.
I'd had like two paychecks at that job at that point. Man, it wasn't even a cardboard hand; it was a gold glove, and I just stuck stickers to it.
Screw it. Why not? I'd do that. Matt, I think that Benedict Cumberbatch balding is like a metaphor for how bad Brexit is
Okay. Yes,
for
maybe.
everyone.
Okay, yeah. That's the movie for anyone that's not connecting the dots there. Benedict Cumberbatch was in a Brexit movie, and for some reason they made him look like he's balding in it. I don't
Well, I
think
think
he
he's
actually
playing
is.
an actual guy.
He's playing Brexit.
He's playing Brexit. That's right. It's a biopic, and that's the
My
name of
name's Brexit.
the movie. I do
Sit.
as much as
Brexit.
I'm the guy that sits here being like, I hate digital crap. I do think that the Thanos mocap is one of the best. Like it's one of the few where I'm not like I'm watching mocap the whole time, you know? That's one of the reasons I guess I haven't warmed up to the later Apes movies because I'm like, I'm watching mocap. But I don't I
But
think enough of Brolin's performance comes through and it seems like unglitchy
Yeah.
enough.
feels
I mean,
like
I mean, I think you're mad for thinking the Apes films are bad for that because they're also incredible.
They are
they look
incredible,
better
but
than
maybe
this.
yeah.
I'd say Apes and Avatar both look better than partly because this is like the guy is like flying around moving at superhuman speed, and in the Apes movies the apes move like apes, so it's like not as hard for the computer to do it right.
Yeah, the interesting thing with this is Thanos looks great in close-ups and conversations and stuff, but looks pretty stupid in fight scenes. Like the fight with him and the Hulk,
Yeah.
like they should have got some kaiju guys in to come and do that because nothing has any weight.
Okay, my statement of
just
that
do it
is
slower.
him delivering
It does-
dialogue and stuff. That's what I'm thinking. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, Brolin's
Yeah.
performance actually gets to come through because
Yeah.
with the apes, you know, when you're getting like cave ape English, right? So you can't emote. You can only emote so much. Or
Yeah, but
at
they
least-
emote through physical
right.
ape
So
movements.
okay, but
Yeah,
I
They,
guess
they
I just-
emote more
like,
than they could in some of those costumes in the old ones, Matt.
very
I guess
true.
at some point someone was just like, oh, Brolin's performance completely mocap. I was like, oh, so it is. That didn't quite occur to me. I thought they put him in a weird
Oh my
purple suit
God.
for some reason. I don't know.
No, that was I thought
They
that
should have
was
put him in a
maybe I
purple
was
suit.
too obsessed.
You were too
we-
obsessed.
We didn't go into this. We sort of glazed over what's your history with Marvel stuff, but I saw all these things in the theater until COVID happened, and then at some point after COVID, I stopped watching all of them.
I think that's a
Def-
very common story. I'm
Mhm.
about the same. I still catch Spider-Mans and I caught Deadpool and Guardians, but like,
Yeah.
I've missed a bunch at this point. And yeah, my Marvel history is I had an uncle who bought every single comic every month. So I grew up reading all of Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers, Iron Man, and all the DC. And then, like maybe 10, 15 years ago, he went and found himself a girlfriend and moved out of his parents' house. And now I can't afford to read all the comics anymore.
Oh well. No, no. I guess for now, a Marvel film needs some dork hook to get you in there. Of course, Deadpool and Wolverine is the biggest dork hook, but you know what? Well, you want to see all the Spider-Men together, so you go do that.
It's
I want to see, you know, the Red Hawk. I'm like, yeah, I want to see a Red Hawk, even if it's just 5 minutes, and so I went to see that.
Well, I probably am going to watch Fantastic Four next month. I'm pretty hyped for that. I didn't go and see Captain America or
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts because both of them felt like, oh, I think I need to watch 2 or 3 TV shows before I can watch these.
Are they going to like use that multiverse to explain like the fact that there's like 3 different versions of the Fantastic Four now? Like there are 3 different Spider-Man.
I don't
I mean,
think
they've
they
already
have.
started doing that a little bit because Chris Evans' Human Torch shows up in Deadpool.
well, John
yeah.
really?
Krasinski was. Remember, John Krasinski was in that one movie as Mr.
There is a different
Fantastic,
Mr. Fantastic, yeah.
which seems like great casting because I don't like John Krasinski. I don't
It
even
was,
know why.
yeah, so it was good seeing his head explode. I think they are setting this Fantastic Four film in its own universe, separate from the main MCU. That was the vibe I
Which-
got from the trailers.
Well, they had
I
that.
hate
It
to
was
say
called
it.
20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
They should just do that. I don't think that even I think they should just disconnect everything because I feel like they've done almost everything they could
Oh
do,
yeah, I
and I
don't
think
like.
that's
We
art
kind of
wise.
we Brian brought it up earlier. We haven't gone back to it, but I think you're. I don't know if they ever will redo the end game feeling of everything coming together, and it's so obvious that they desperately want to.
I
Um,
think it's not like I don't think Hollywood's dead, but I don't think they have the resources to do this right now. It's kind of like they seriously
Yeah.
just can't do this right now.
well, also
It's
they were
just
like it took them 15 years to get there or 10 years to get there,
mm,
and like every studio was trying to rush. Like DC did like one Superman film, a Batman and Superman film, and then tried to do their Justice League right away. Like nobody's
It's
taking the time to build up to a big crossover, which is what Marvel actually did.
I
Well,
mean
plus the
this
fact
is
that you're doing a save the universe story. I mean, how many times can you save the universe? It becomes a
Hmm
little like Doctor
yeah.
Who lately. It's like every season
Every
the
season ends
universe
with the
is in
universe
danger and we
needing
have to
saving. Yeah.
Doctor has to save the universe again.
Well, I'm Super Thanos, and I'm going to kill 65% of the population of the universe. But I'm going to say something that probably sounds like nonsense, and it probably is nonsense. But these things don't happen. Like the type of success that they had is not. Not only is it not sustainable, but it is a wild fluke. And the only
Yeah.
really smart thing for them to have done would be to just bank all of the money they made and just use it to kind of string out whatever they felt like doing and also probably wait a while to do it. But that's like a financially responsible thing, and that's just not how Hollywood operate. Hollywood doesn't operate like someone who made a hit record and then saves their money and then uses that to live off of for the rest of their lives. They're like, no, more growth. This is a
Well,
flop because it didn't make $50 billion.
we see it all the time in video games. There will be some surprise game blows up, like, Fortnite. And then every
Yeah.
studio is like, oh, we got to make one of those. And it's like,
And
no, there's room for one of those. You need to make
and
the next thing. Like, you can't make
the
another
funny
one of those.
thing,
It won't work.
yeah, the funny thing about that is that I've started noticing this. Maybe it's just because I've gotten older and wiser, or whatever you want to call it. Notice that this always has a tail of 4 or 5 years. So
Yeah.
we saw like what 6 or 7, 8, 10 Fortnite type things fail spectacularly like the last couple of years. Now we're seeing a bunch of co-op games.
Yeah.
It Takes Two won best game at the Game Awards like 2021 or something.
Oh, I was
And it's
thinking
like,
like slightly bigger co-op games like Helldivers and Monster Hunter. People are trying to make those.
well, yeah.
But yeah, like
But yeah, that's happening though. It's like they're putting it in Hitman. They're putting co-op in it, which I mean, awesome. That's great. But it's also just,
have
it's easy
films
to see the
stopped
trends.
trying to MCU yet?
they're getting that in their mind, I think.
I
Like
think they
especially
kind of
something like
have.
Sinners doing well. It's like maybe we should try something else for a while.
Try making standalone films. Because I feel like we haven't. There were when after between like Avengers and Endgame, you had the Dark Universe. Remember that? You had
Oh yeah.
One movie
the
that was South
MonsterVerse.
Parkland.
That was
MonsterVerse
DC, right?
kind of worked. You had DC trying to
Mm.
do it. I mean,
Um,
even Mission Impossible, the final one, tried to pretend it was all building to this. Even though none of the older films fit together, they're all clearly working on
Four
different
hundred
rules.
million dollars. Of course, the reason that movie one, it's like, well, how can a movie $400 million for a new Mission Impossible? Then you're like, well, it was a 5-year production with the
Because they
strike and
made like three
COVID.
different films that
They
we
made
didn't
like three
see before
different
the one we
films.
saw.
Exactly. And so yeah. And then next year, I mean, Tom Cruise is he's like he put out a thing being like, hey, I'm gonna make a comedy next year. Making a small comedy with a arty director. I don't remember who the director is, but
well, James Gunn, who was hired by DC, I want to say it was about 2 years ago now, maybe three. I honestly think that he was hired because he was a nice guy, and then David Zaslav was going to dismantle everything, and then nobody is going to get mad at James Gunn. But it sounds like his Superman's probably going to be great. I trust him. I don't know if he's like studio guy, but I'm willing to watch anything he puts his name on. But he's put out some announcement that was like, we're going to do this animated stuff, and then there will be this that's sort of its own separate universe, and then the Batman is a separate Batman, and there will be another Batman that's the DC Batman. So maybe that'll work to just do a few small universes instead of like,
why is there a
trying to
universe? It's
fold
like a
everything
freaking
in.
movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't continuities. We should be calling them continuities because let's face it, you can't even show a whole like solar system in one movie, you know? Like why even call it a universe? Because like Star Trek
cool.
has done like 5,000 episodes and they haven't even like really shown us the entirety of our own galaxy yet.
They like to use the word canon in Trek, Mark.
Well, they haven't shown us their canon yet.
And then they tell us canon's a bad word because, you know, the old fans will beat the new fans over the head saying this is not canon and whatever. And we have those discussions all the time over on Mission Log. But
But
I
then
mean,
when
canon
that's the
kind
thing
of
about
went out
this-
the window when they stopped making the Klingons just be dudes with beards.
which
I know
would
they
be
tried to go back
50
and explain
years,
it,
60
but-
years ago. Yeah.
I think they should just go forward in time. Star Trek.
Yeah.
Just go forward
they
in
kind
time.
of
Oh,
I've said that a
start
bunch
going
of-
wrong with, prequels. Once you start getting the prequels, things
Let's do
get
it.
I just
crazy.
feel like
Just
every
stop
10 or
doing
20
prequels.
years we should have a Star Trek set 100 years after the last one.
right.
Yeah, because you
Works
can do anything you
for
want.
me.
You'd be like, well, things are the different here, and then Klingons are our friends now, and Vulcans are our enemies now, and whatever. Who knows?
And
Yeah.
the technology can advance without having to stop and think, wait a minute, were they able to do this in Pike's time or whatever? And that's what, it gets crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
now
the
our
further you go
holodeck-
into the future, the less weird it seems. Like, it doesn't quite seem like we're going to be in. I don't think we're going to have a warp drive 5 years ago, guys.
yeah,
want
it's
to
just who are we at war with this time? That's all. That's the future. That's always the future.
I want to pose this question to Luke. I'm not talking about Tom Holland's performance, but is this the worst Spider-Man on screen? He's in space. He's in a crappy costume.
Yeah,
I said my,
Probably,
Those costumes now.
Should Spider-Man even be in space? I feel like at least not for most of a movie. I mean, throw
I
him
know
in space for a
Spider-Man
minute.
can be in space in a big crossover like this.
Yeah, okay.
It's just he needs to be grounded in his... Because Spider-Man shows up in the Infinity Gauntlet comics, right?
Right.
Although, one of my favorite... I don't actually know which comic it is, but there's one famous one where some big multi-superhero crossover event was happening in space. But Spider-Man and Daredevil were just sat on a rooftop watching it, because it's like, oh yeah, this is above our pay grade.
Yeah.
I think this type of event is all about taking people outside of their comfort zones. You know,
Yeah.
you put Spider-Man in space. You put
In a shitty costume.
Guardians of the Galaxy
I
on
hate this
Earth.
costume.
You put Captain America in Wakanda, where he has to have been a little bit uncomfortable because he grew up in the like 30s or something.
Are you calling Steve Rogers racist?
Yep. No, I mean, whatever. That thing where if I was alive in a different time, I wouldn't be racist is bullshit. He's probably, well, I don't know. I guess he's had enough time to.
Well,
for
so
it not
he
to-
he did grow up in like in the
Brooklyn?
slums and then the army, so he probably was actually
Yeah.
surrounded by other races a lot.
Okay, well, I'll
I
give him
think
the
that's
benefit
part
of
of
the
Steve
doubt this
Rogers'
time.
character. Yes.
Yeah, right. I was just joking.
No, yeah, if he'd
Comic
been
book.
allowed to grow old without getting frozen in the ice, he probably would have developed some racism.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, they there was something in the IMDb trivia where it was like the filmmakers had a term for when characters meet each other for the first time,
Hmm.
and it was called. Oh no, my page didn't load.
Plotmas.
Anyway, they had a term for it, and that interests me that they were specifically thinking about that because that is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
Like that they're strange alchemy. That's
Hmm.
what they call it.
and I
You
mean
know,
that
like-
that's crossovers, right? That's why you want to see crossovers.
Yeah.
Even going back to like Frankenstein meets Dracula, is you want to see
Mhm.
these characters. Oh, how are they going to interact with each other and bounce off each other? So I
Yeah,
think
you
one
can
of the
do
great things this film does is it keeps giving you those all the way up to like the final act. You have more characters meeting each other. Like mid battle, Thor shows up, and we get to see like Rocket Raccoon meet Bucky and stuff like that. So it knows that's what the audience is here for, and it keeps dripping it throughout the film.
and it does that very well. Like Groot's arm is an axe now. Thor. Peter Dinklage is here doing the same accent he did in
He's a
Game of Thrones,
giant.
but
That's
he's
just
much bigger.
fantastic. He's much bigger.
Luke, rate
That's
rate
great.
Peter Dinklage's accent.
Um, doesn't actually sound like a British person, but it sounds so cool that we all forgive it.
Well, he's a dwarf giant. What is he
I
exactly?
love that. I love these a giant.
I thought it was
That's
a
one of
giant
the most
dwarf.
brilliant things.
Yeah, he's a giant dwarf.
He's
There
a
we
giant
go.
dwarf.
Hey,
That's one of the most brilliant things I've ever
until
seen. I
Groot
love
gives
that.
up his arm, is he playing a Game Gear?
No, he's playing like a LCD game.
Okay, just
Like
checking.
it's just a one game machine, like a
Like
Game
a
and Watch
Tiger
type deal.
Games.
Yeah,
Okay.
of
I just
Defender.
Yeah. That was like yeah, it's just weird. This is the third time I see a movie. I never actually noticed that Groot is giving his arm to be part of I guess because it's like a 3 second shot, blink and you miss
Yeah,
it.
but it is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's why I was like, hey, I didn't notice the first couple times. That is cool. Why didn't I notice the first couple times?
So can we talk? Okay, I guess we've danced around the movie. We've jumped around a lot. Can we talk about how bullshit it is that the Soul Stone thinks that Thanos loves Gamora?
Hmm.
I
Can
mean,
a horrible person love somebody and then push them off a cliff though?
like, unfortunately, I think it is true that a lot of very abusive assholes do love the person they're abusing. Like, it's not good and it's not what love should be, but I don't think you could say that they don't feel some kind of love.
Yeah, it doesn't sit great with me. But I guess I've never thrown anyone off a cliff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I did write a note in here, except for the throwing incident. Is Santa still a better dad than Lieutenant Commander Worf?
Mm,
At least he talks to his kids.
I mean, would Worf kill half of
Sometimes.
You really
humans
pick on Worf.
or half of people? I don't know.
DS9 Worf would.
I mean, the
Yeah,
Hulk does
maybe.
get Lieutenant Commander Worf at the start of this film. Like, oh, we need to show that Thanos is tough, so have him beat up the strongest one.
Okay, good
And
point.
then the Hulk is just
Yeah.
useless for the rest of these two
I do love
films.
that this movie just calls it out that yeah, the Hawk doesn't come like you just like the Hawk's gonna come out for the climax. It's like no, he isn't. I love that choice. That's a great choice. Although
That's a weird one.
there was a shot where you see just Ruffalo's head on the Hawk Smasher, and it was like composited really badly. So his head's
Well,
like
that was
a little bit.
in the trailer, that was the Hulk.
Oh,
That
okay.
this film did a bunch of like, ooh, we're gonna put things in the trailer that aren't actually how they are in the film.
Which maybe you can't do soon. Did you hear about that incident? Uh,
No?
this is with the movie Danny Boyle's Yesterday.
Hmm.
And there is an actor, actress, but she was cut from a scene, and she had a massive group of fans, but she was in the trailer, and then the fans like put a class action suit against the movie because they were like, we went
Oh.
to see this actress, and she's not in it. So if that, I think it's still getting litigated. If it goes through it, there could be a situation where Hollywood cannot, they have to put footage that's going to be in the movie in the trailer if that pans out. So Marvel could not do that anymore.
Well,
Well,
what's
you
that, a
have
false
films,
advertising claim?
Huh?
Rogue One.
Is it a false advertising claim? That's at that basis?
I
Yeah.
guess
That's the
so, yeah.
basic. That's the basic idea.
I think
Let's
Rogue
do
One
that
had
more in
like
society.
yeah. I think Rogue One had a trailer that had like footage that was entirely made of footage that didn't make it into the film.
But yeah, there's
Right?
definitely a bunch. And I've noticed recently, like, because anime production is so horrendous, like I've seen a couple times now where a film's coming out and they clearly don't have any footage yet, even though it's out in like 2 months. So the trailer is just like still images and music.
Well, that feels appropriate for anime because like what I think of when I think of anime is opening sequences where everyone is dancing around having fun and then you get to like the third episode and half the characters are dead.
Yeah. That's not the tone at all.
I mean, I don't know, Chainsaw Man does it probably the most fun where the entire thing is just the characters acting out scenes from movies and it has nothing to do with the show at all.
Okay.
It's
I
really
would
fun.
say, like, I think Hollywood doesn't need this anywhere near as bad as the games industry does.
Well,
Some
yeah,
laws about
there was
putting
what
shit in
the
trailers that's not how the product is going to be.
cough cough Cyberpunk 2077.
This reminds me of a thought experiments I had once, is where would it be possible to just plagiarize a couple thousand lines from a couple thousand TV shows and movies and stitch them together into a plausible script and shoot
Well,
it?
AI is here
Some
to
people
tell
say
you
that's what Quentin
I was
yes.
going to
Tarantino
say
does.
AI can do that now. I mean, AI is the answer to that. That was, yeah, that was my million
Well,
dollar
that's what
idea. Of
people
course,
said
some
when
AI is
know,
going to
AI
scan this some AI is going to scan this podcast now.
and come
I
out.
Steal
mean,
my
it
idea.
probably there's already a thing where AI has access to everything on SoundCloud, and I've uploaded music to SoundCloud, so I've probably like fed that a bunch of things that I never would have made money off of. But yeah, the remember AI is software. There was a Flash website years ago called Let Them Sing It For You, and you would just type anything into it, and it would like stitch together like parts of YouTube videos where people were singing, or like parts of movies. So it would just be this weird thing. I don't know. I wish it still existed, but you probably could imagine what it's like. It was just weird.
Well, I guess
Mark,
we'll just
did
have
you?
AI write the next big Marvel epic like this movie.
Maybe it has.
Because it's got
Yeah.
enough material to work with now.
Hey, Mark, did you finish your Thanos thoughts? I felt like you started and then we kind of veered away for a while.
Oh, I was like, I just think the Soul Stone is bullshit. That's all.
Oh,
I
okay,
think it's
that's
full
what
of
you-
shit. I think it just gives it to whoever throws someone off a cliff.
Do you
That's
think
my
it's weird to
and
put
I
the Red
think
Skull there with a different actor? Like, why does it have to be the Red Skull then if you're gonna have a
his
different actor
They
anyway?
couldn't pay Hugo
his
enough,
accent's
probably.
terrible. Yeah, his accent is so wrong. He doesn't sound anything. They might as well have just had him
That
just
was almost like an Easter
basically
egg, though,
talk.
right?
Yeah,
I wasn't even
I like the Red
expecting
Skull
him. It's
showing
like,
up in that
oh,
little.
what's he doing there? That's weird. Okay,
Well,
never
I
mind.
like that because he did disappear in that one movie, and it was
Yeah,
kind of like,
he did get sucked into the stones, so
I don't know if you guys were thinking this, but when I was watching Captain America: Winter Soldier, I was like, "Oh, dude, is Robert Redford going to turn into the Red Skull at the end?" Because it really seemed like they were kind of building to that.
So you need to
And
watch Brave New World where Harrison Ford turns into Red Hawk. That's what you want. That's what everybody wants.
no, I want
Matt,
Hugo
have you got a
Weaving.
contract to try and sell us on Brave New World? Like,
Just the Red
I
Hawk.
I watched
Anthony
Brave
Mackie's
New
fine, but
World.
we're talking about the Red
Matthew's in the
Hawk.
pocket of deep Disney. We all
I-
know it.
I watched Brave New
I'm
World.
pretty sure Deep Disney does not want him making that occult Disney podcast. So.
But do they want you
This
making
is
the
his,
Deep Disney podcast?
Yeah, exactly. This is his penance. Penance? That's the word I'm looking for.
I watched Brave New World. It felt like the entire movie wanted me to really be excited for Harrison Ford turning into Red Hulk.
He's
and
so
he
cranky.
He did good, but like his sidekick was terrible. That one lady couldn't really speak English, but she had a bunch of speaking roles, and she was like really short, but she was supposed to be really deadly or something.
I didn't tell you anything else about the movie was good, did I?
No.
This is
I,
true.
I like Anthony Mackie, and I think he deserved better than that. That's all I'm gonna say.
I did notice there were a few scenes in that one where they were referencing the show, but I hadn't seen the show and it was fine. Just to throw it to counter that point
I
earlier.
think the show was better than the movie, and you should just watch that.
Okay, maybe I will when I have a bunch of hours on my clock.
I mean, there's a whole episode where they just go clubbing with Baron Zemo in like Berlin.
Ooh. Is calling Spider-Man an insect offensive? Shouldn't they call him an arachnoid?
I was waiting for him to say it's arachnid.
Matt, did you say they should call him arachnoid?
Arachnoid. They should
No,
call him
if
an
he said
arachnoid.
arachnid.
I actually did say
You guys-
I mixed arachnoid and arachnid together.
Yeah.
Do you guys
Aren't they the
think
aliens
that?
from Starship Troopers?
Was that?
Are they the
they're just
arachnoids?
Bugs, I think.
Uh,
They're just called
Oh,
bugs.
are they? Okay, that would. Although arachnoid's always on the mind too. I'm always playing that somewhere
Yeah.
deep in the recesses of my brain.
Do you guys think that the dynamic between this Spider-Man and Tony Stark is basically Rick and Morty?
not quite as problematic, but
I mean,
I
yeah,
know
of
the
course
arachnoids
it's
are
not.
from
Scientist
Star
and
Fox
apprentice, yeah.
Assault.
The
Oh,
problem
of
is Rick and
course.
Morty's already too trained too much on Back to the Future. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
take this and throw it on there too.
What Star Fox Assault? Like I've never heard of that. Was that like
It's
a?
the GameCube one that Namco made.
Oh, was it
It has
good?
really good Star Fox levels, but then it also has a bunch of like on-foot levels and stuff that are terrible.
Because I always hear mixed things about Star Fox, except for the ones that everybody likes. The first couple, I don't know. Maybe there just aren't that many. Bring back Star Fox, Nintendo. I know you're listening.
Oh, they absolutely should. Yeah.
I was thinking early on this movie what would have been really brave choices when they have Vision, Scarlet Witch in Scotland. If it from that part it just turns into like a Richard Curtis movie. Speaking of yesterday, a few minutes ago.
I mean, honestly, I think this movie, I'm always playing like script doctor, but like this movie would probably be better if it was like it kept cutting to just Scarlet Witch and Vision just like on a romantic like runaway in Paris, and then just Thanos just shows up and rips the stone out of his head after all this other stuff happens.
Yeah, sure, why
Like, how
not?
cool would that have been?
So it's like a Richard Curtis film that ends with a skull shredding. Like, okay, we could do that.
Yeah, why not? What I mean, if you're gonna do this much crossing over and put this many characters, there's room for a subplot that is a completely different genre. I kind of feel
Love,
like
actually. That's
the
the head
next
ripping.
the Endgame, we can say it, the name of it. Endgame does have something like that, where there's sort of a different movie inside of it.
Right. Oh yeah,
Is
for
that
sure.
the movie where Mr. Steed and Mrs. Peel finally show up? Because that's what I was here for.
You were here for that.
I'm here for it now.
Yeah. Uh yeah, so I guess we should start talking about Luke's question at the beginning here. Is this a film?
Well, that's why. So I was part joking with my whole making Thanos the hero thing, but I think it was really smart the way he is the protagonist of this film. He's the only character who has a through line. You're kind of following what he's up to. And I think that was a smart way when you have this many heroes to bring together. Like, how do you put the attention anywhere? They put it on the villain. And I think that actually
Right.
worked really well in this film.
I can go
And
with
I
The
that.
think
villain is
that
the hero in his own narrative, right? And he's in
Yeah.
his mind. I
And
am the
what are
hero.
you saying that makes it episodic because it's like one, you
No,
have
no,
to
no.
have
I'm
that.
saying this one is not
no,
episodic. This one, they found a way to make it a film.
Oh, okay. You're okay, so you
yeah,
are coming down on the film.
I think Infinity War specifically, I think, does hold together as a film.
I I think that what makes this strong and that Thanos is a character and a lead character is part of what makes the next one worse
Mm.
because the Thanos we get in that for most of I'm acting like I'm going to spoil something. Mild spoilers. The Thanos we get for most of that is a different Thanos, so it kind of ruins it because I'm like, why should I give a shit about this guy? Who's
Yeah.
this guy? I don't know this guy.
Yeah, they kill this Thanos in the opening scene.
That was
Yeah,
genius. They just
well,
had
it's
to deal
cool.
with it.
No,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's not genius because then they didn't deal with it. They're just like, bring him back.
Well, they definitely pull some surprises in the next one. I'll say that. Like that was not what a lot of us were expecting.
Not at all,
And
but they did a good job.
and
See, I do like as much as I agree that it's good that Thanos is the thing. To me, I was going to come down on the it's very episodic because it feels like the connective tissue episode. It's that the one
Mm.
right before the finale, which can so often be better than the finale, right? So, but cannot stand on its own. Like you cannot watch Infinity War on its own without knowing where it came from and following where it's going. So I was going to be like, actually, it is an episode, a very good episode, but an episode.
well, since it'd been so long since I'd watched any of these, I'd spent a lot of time being like, wait, did Thor Ragnarok happen before this or after this? Stuff like
Mm.
that. Like until after characters would talk for a minute, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 did come before this. But I kind of felt a little bit of what it felt like for people to be confused when they're just like people were like complaining about like, oh, I don't know who this guy
I
is. What's this
remember
tree?
what I remember is one of the newspapers, I think it was one of the UK newspapers, put out a review that was like, oh, the film's really good, but it's going to be terrible for you if you haven't seen the other films. And then people on Twitter being like, yeah, what are they talking about? Of course, yeah, you have to watch the other Marvel movies.
Put
And
a
then
pin
people
in
being
that for
like,
Endgame.
yeah, but you know that. That doesn't mean everyone who goes into the cinema knows that. But, oh, this is the big film they're advertising the hell off. I guess I'll watch it. Is like not an unreasonable thing for a normal human to think.
Yeah, and I it's like they had to do it like this. This is part of their great experiment, and I think they should stop doing it. And I think they should just start making some standalone films. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I think Fantastic Four can just be Fantastic Four. but we know for a fact another thing about, sorry, circling back to the movie we actually should be talking about, is that they'd announced Black Panther 2 and Spider-Man 3 or 2.
Yeah, two.
Before this came out. So because of the shareholders had to be, the shareholders had to be sated. We all knew they weren't going to stay dead, which sucks that they had to do that.
That's weird because I know that's true. And I knew that was true at the time, but it did get me when they all died. The film does make you feel it. I was kind of bummed out for like a day because I watched Spider-Man die.
Well, at least
it definitely does. And it's good filmmaking. They knew these guys know what they're doing. They made Captain America Winter Soldier and then Civil War, the Russo brothers. I don't think we've named them yet, but like I think they're great at directing action even when it's just like CGI things flying around. Like they know how to make things interesting. They get more emotion out of Robert Downey Jr. than anybody else does in any of these other movies. And even though sometimes he sounds almost like he's pouting, but it's still fascinating.
Mark, I want to chime in a bit on where you were saying people feeling confused watching. I had a little bit of that too, like, oh, where is this in the thing? But like when Endgame did come out, my parents were visiting, so I was like, oh, I can do that. And the only time I've done an intergenerational movie where my dad was there, my daughter was there. I was kind of flipping, oh, does everyone like this? Like, partly because it is confusing. And I had to talk my daughter into seeing it. She was like, oh, I haven't seen the other MCUs. I'm like, oh, I'll just read I
remember you telling me this story.
Just go to Wiki and read the plot, right? Which is as follows, and it's basically the same in Japanese. Having acquired the Power Stone, one of 6 Infinity Stones, from the planet Xandar, Thanos and his lieutenants, Ebony Ball, Call Obsidian, Proximia Midnight, and Corvus Glaive, intercept the spaceship carrying the survivors of Asgard's destruction. It's like, what? It's like so freaking...
And that's the teaser.
The way you told me that story was that you read that paragraph and that put her off seeing the film.
Correct.
And then you had twice as much work to do to convince her.
Correct. So, yeah. That is where
I hear that and I'm like, that sounds great. I love that.
Yeah.
Xandar, sign me up.
But for someone that's worried, like, I'm going to be lost in this new movie, and then here's the plot description from the old one, you're like, ah! I mean, that's why that's why there's many animes I haven't gotten into. You see the plot description, like, oh, that sounds like too much thought.
Well, there are
a lot of like, off camera things that happen too that we just have to accept anyway because they can't film everything.
I'll give you the games example for me. Luke, you might be able to relate to this, you might not. Destiny 2, where like I have some friends that were very into Destiny 2 and they were like, come play with us. And I'm like, I'll hang out with my friends. I'll play Destiny 2 with them. But it's like the lore to that game makes my brain just try to like turn on itself. Like I cannot handle it. It's so dry and full of jargon.
I'm aware of all of that, but also I tried to play Destiny 1 years and years ago. And I thought it was boring as piss, so I gave up on the whole series.
I guess that happened when I did
I'd say the gameplay doesn't save it.
Yeah, a few of the strategy games when I was playing on those DS games, and it's like, here, do the tutorial, and within 5 minutes, I'm not playing this because the tutorial is just like a disaster. And it didn't look that fantastic, maybe, or something. I don't know.
But I like Halo because Halo does have stupid lore, but you
kind of
understand what you're doing. Yeah, you're just like, oh, there's a skull, I'll grab that skull. Oh, there's a man here, I'll beat him to death with the skull, and I still have the skull.
That's what
you can understand that. But the other thing about movies that they'd announced after this, which is like the tragic, like still hurts irony of that they announced Black Panther 2 and Chadwick Boseman actually did die after they made these movies, which is just, oh God, man. He's so good in this where I'm just like, yeah, man.
And I think he was going to pull the trick of not being pigeonholed as Black Panther too.
I mean, he's always done a bunch of different stuff.
I know, but
appearances did he make? Oh, it's like 3, right?
Just Black Panther and these two.
And Civil War he was in.
Civil War,
4 if you count, Civil War,
Yeah. I think you have to. But I guess no one wants to put any filth on this movie. No filth?
Nah.
Except for what Thanos did.
I mean, it's more like it's filth in terms of what it made everyone else do. But like this film itself isn't.
It's a begetter of filth.
It's a begetter of filth.
Right.
Like this film itself isn't.
It's a begetter of filth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could say this is the climax of the MCU. So if you look at it that like somebody like coming, then that's Filth, I guess.
This is just the pre-cum though.
I
You're right.
I have
Those
the
are
Well,
PG-13, guys. Okay,
I could
whatever.
say it is
Oh, this
kind of.
podcast is never PG-13. Don't worry.
Yes, I know.
This is it's kind of stupid to me that we didn't get into this at all, but like it's called Infinity War, and it's really not. It's just a battle, really. And when all the dust settles after the next movie, it's like a few people died, so it's kind of like maybe playing fast and
Infinity
loose with the
incident.
term war. Yeah, it's like the Infinity. Yeah, exactly.
But I guess
Infinity
Infinity
Like-
Gauntlet doesn't sound as good on a movie poster as Infinity War.
Oh,
Could just call
Okay.
it
Well,
Avengers
25
Infinity.
armies.
I want to throw down the gauntlet. I don't know. I have a couple 10-star reviews here if people want to hear them. I can go with the incoherent
Wait,
one first.
why-
Oh,
You
This
want
is on
the
the good
nine
list,
one
Matt.
star?
oh yeah, sorry.
Who
Well,
wants
this one.
reviews?
You're right. You're right. My brain broke. But can I read one just because it's so
Sure.
bizarre? Okay. So sorry.
Okay.
This is a 10-star. Marco, you got the ones? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Okay. So this is a 10, but it's so bizarre. It lists a web address, which I guess I won't read, but yeah, it lists a web address as the name, as the title. No spoiler. 1, post-credit sequence is only one after the subtitles are all over. 2, very shocking, stimulating, addictive. Time to drink Coke, but no time to eat popcorn. 3, Marvel fan must see. 4, some people will need tissue. 5, the villains are very well established and have depth. 6, don't drink water 3 hours before entering the arena. 7, special effects very awesome. 8, Russell Brothers are number 1. Russell Brothers?
Rousseau L. Brothers. I don't know what.
Anyway, sorry, that was a 10, but I think it's kind of outside the sphere of actually having an opinion.
Well, I know people who use how much soda they drink during the movie as a gauge of how good it is. If the
Yeah.
soda's untouched, the movie's really good. If the soda's empty, the movie didn't keep their attention.
I had to pee one time in Mission Impossible. It was in the long submarine scene, probably because there's so much water. You know how that works.
Yeah, I peed just before the submarine scene or just after, and just some boring president stuff. Also, though, on the Mission Impossible, have you seen the clip of Tom Cruise at like a screening where he makes fun of some guy because he finished all his popcorn before the film?
Oh crap! He would have made fun of me.
He's just walking through the audience like, "Hey, finished all your popcorn? It hasn't even started yet." And then there's also the clip
Before
of
it
Tom Cruise
started.
eating popcorn where he eats it like a maniac, where he like takes a handful, holds it at his side, and then like bicep curls them into his mouth one by one.
It was his first time.
No, Tom Cruise loves cinema so much that he exists entirely on a diet of popcorn.
Mark, what do you have for us?
Oh, I got so many.
Oh,
All
good.
right. Here we go. I got 2 in a row here. Marvel biggest superhero movie. It was boring and I sleep when I watched the movie. It was kid family friendly. I don't get any jokes. The best thing in the movie is Thanos' poor CGI. 261 out of 608 found that helpful. All right.
lot of numbers.
Here's a real one. Kitsch. This movie is a great example of kitsch. A definition from Webb. Kitsch is art that's garish, nostalgic, and very lowbrow. Some people who love the aesthetics of souvenir culture think kitsch is really cool, while others think it's in very poor taste. Kitsch is a German word that's been adopted into English, meaning worthless, trashy art, or the quality of that art. A ceramic figurine of a puppy with sad eyes is pretty kitsch, as is a velvet Elvis painting. Of course, some people think that kitsch is really beautiful and fill their homes with stuff that other people consider trashy souvenirs. If your painting teacher tells you portraits are kitsch, that's probably not a compliment. 344 out of 798 found that helpful.
They didn't reference the movie.
I know. Sorry, nobody else thought that was all right.
I
Can't win them all.
what do I say to that?
Well, I guess I don't agree with this person, but they can have their opinion. I guess that's where we are.
I don't know if I agree with this person.
Well, they were just saying kitsch. They were saying the kitsch like it's bad. I like kitsch.
But they
Fine.
were saying like kitchen's kitchen. Some people like it and some people don't.
Sure, I like kitsch.
Worst Avengers sequel. Waste of time. Didn't understand whether Thanos is hero or the averages. I think the story writer is himself confused. 0 out of 15 found that helpful.
Someone struggled with the villainous protagonist story.
Yep.
Someone.
Also, they said averages.
Well, how many of these are just like, I didn't understand it because I didn't see the first 12 films or something like that? Because
Probably quite
that's
a few.
kind of a you
Probably
problem.
try to skip those. I try to go for like the Dadaist insane or just people who don't write very well.
Well, that's go for the least helpful then if you want to do that.
Oh, that's where I started.
Oh, that's where you started.
Flash,
Okay.
pow, boar, look, squirrel. Take a 15-minute Captain Planet episode and stretch it out to 3 dreadful hours of CGI fight scenes of people you don't care about. There is nothing to keep someone over the age of 13 interested. The plot is nonsensical, big flashes, loud noises, and cramming in every Marvel superhero for a 2-minute scene just made the movie seem like one endless star cameo after another. Avoid. 3 out of 10 found that unhelpful.
Loud noises. I didn't
Not
write.
en-
I
I
didn't
would
write
say
that in my
that's
notes.
not an entirely unfair criticism. It works if you're into Marvel, but if you're not already into those characters, I don't think it does very much to make you care about them.
I would love to that this is something where I kind of would love to know what it's like to experience this just completely blind, and I don't think that it's ever going to happen where something like this will happen where I don't know anything about it because
The closest
even
I've had to that was I took my friend Katie to see. I've definitely told this story. I took her to see X-Men Apocalypse, and she hadn't seen any X-Men films. So there's a certain scene where a bunch of characters in
yeah.
ridiculous costumes go to a certain real world location where she literally just turned to me in the cinema and goes, "What the fuck?"
Oh, right. Okay, yes, you have. But that was also one of the best scenes in the movie, and it should have just been that for the whole movie. Um, but yeah, I guess the only equivalent would be that the first Pokemon game I played was in like 2020, but I
But
still
yeah,
understood.
Pokemon games are all designed to be some kid's first game, so
Yeah, and I also knew a lot about Pokemon from watching the anime and just
hmm.
absorbing it.
Mark, you can go on a mission to watch Horizon American Saga Chapter 2, and maybe you'll get that feeling from that.
Oh, you mean the one where the stunt woman is suing them?
Is that true? Okay, sure. Why not? I don't think you
I'm
can
not
see
even
that
going
one
to
either.
say I'm not even going to say what it is, but
Hmm.
it's bad.
Okay. I didn't come
It's
across that.
it's like not as bad as Rust,
Hmm.
but it's bad. And if her lawsuit has merit, then shame on you, Kevin Costner. This podcast condemns your shenanigans.
You're not sanctioning this buffoonery.
It's bad. I sound like I'm joking. No, it's actually
No.
very the
Right.
allegations are very bad, and I'm not joking. That's
Hmm.
fucked up. Anyway,
Any final
um,
allegations on Infinity War?
Thanos
Um,
took me out of school, and no.
Okay.
Sorry,
Brian?
Brian, you have real thoughts.
I was wondering, since we're at the end, let's talk about the post credit with, Nick Fury and Colby getting snapped and paging Captain Marvel at the very end because they put Captain Marvel between the two movies when they released them, right?
Hmm.
It was
Correct.
this
Mm-hmm.
before. Did that
There was
confuse
also
anybody? Because I thought it was like, well, if, yeah, you're going to call for help, but there's a 50-50 chance that Captain Marvel herself would have been snapped, and so it would have been kind of
Yeah.
a useless gesture,
well,
unless
I
it
guess
was
they
a,
didn't know
a
what was
time
going on at
pager
that
and was
point.
paging her back in the 90s sometime to come forward. I was very confused by it, and I guess I still am.
I mean,
I
I
guess
it
I needed the internet to explain that cutscene to me because I never knew much about Captain Marvel or anything.
Well, no one did. All we saw was the tiny little
they
logo, and that was our hint.
Right. So I
It
needed the
was just a
internet to
teaser
explain
for the
that to
next
me.
film, really, but it didn't really. The
it,
plot didn't make sense.
I feel like the purpose of that post credits was barely about Captain Marvel. It's more about just getting Nick Fury on state screen and getting him to almost say motherfucker.
Does that count
Not
as
the
one of
yeah.
his
fuck.
movies? Because
What's that?
it's like you have to be in like 7 movies. So I guess that still counts if he just shows up in the post credit
No,
scene.
I think I have
Um,
heard that they have those like one scene cameos cannot count.
Ah, okay.
was reading about this, and apparently, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. like some of the stuff he appeared in was not part of his contract, and he negotiated it separately. Like I think the Spider-Man
Like,
movies, basically,
and he's like right at the end of Hulk and
because
stuff like that.
yeah, because didn't know they were going to do Spider-Man movies when they made the first Iron Man. They would have had no idea. They wouldn't have dreamed. But yeah, Captain Marvel is one of those. Well, they made an insanely powerful character to the point where they basically made a Goku. So
Yeah.
they can't have her around all the time because she's too powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And then they continued to not have her around.
We'll get into her more next time, I guess. So,
Yep.
Shall we wrap this one up for today'sies then?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it's a film. Just about. It's a
It's
film.
cool. I was not angry about watching it 2.5 hours.
I'm gonna
was
call it a great episode. It is the feeling I get, and the first time was the feeling I got having watched the penultimate episode of a TV series, right? In a good, so it's I'm giving it praise, but saying that it's definitely I feel like it's a different beast than a film.
Series
It's a
could have been
great
shorter.
convoluted culmination that we'll never see again, probably.
Mm.
It takes
Yeah.
too long to
Well-
build up to something like this.
We'll probably never see this again, and that's fine. You know, filmmakers just go do something else. You find your niche. You find out what you
At
do
least
really
for
well,
a
and you
generation
do
or
that.
two.
You
Yeah.
do you, boo.
Don't remake this.
Yeah.
anyways.
No, you know, we love the Batman, the Nolan Batman movies. He wasn't like doing this. He was doing something else. His stuff overlapped with the MCU, and he just did his own thing. And then Zack Snyder did his own thing, and it didn't work as well. But you know what? He did something. Good for him.
I still haven't watched the Snyder cut.
Good for you.
Well,
Wait, I thought
actually,
you said you
Batman
had
is a
watched
DC
it.
character, not a Marvel Universe character.
Am I crazy? Matt, I swear you said you watched the Snyder Cut.
No, I said I
No, he
have the
keeps
Snyder
threatening
cut.
to.
Oh.
I keep threatening to watch it.
Oh.
One of these
DC will
years,
never
that's
get their
going to be
act
his
together
birthday
the way
pick. Just
DC
to
will never have
bully
their act
us.
together the way
No.
Marvel did.
God.
They're trying, but they're never going to get their act together the way Marvel did from the beginning.
Well, because they keep trying to
Well-
rush to where Marvel was at 5 years in.
Yeah, they're trying to catch up.
Yeah.
They're playing catch up.
You know, Birds of Prey, The Suicide Squad, those are great. Like, just, you know, they should just do what, like, smaller, more, like, punk
Mhm.
stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
also, like, the
This
the
is literally
smartest,
half the length of this. So this seems more appealing because
Huh.
it's half the length.
the DC movies that are smart, they accept, oh, the audience already knows who Batman and Superman and Robin are. So we could just assume that knowledge. We don't have to show them those origins. Like, even the first Suicide Squad, which I know people are not so big on, like, it's not like, oh, you have to have seen the Batman movie to get this. It's just like, yeah, Batman shows up because you know who Batman is. And like, we
Yeah.
can mention Superman because you know who Superman is. I think, like, I would be more interested in just DC making films like, hey, here's a new story with these characters. You already know them. We don't have to show you their origins.
Well, it's just origin can be Guardians of the Galaxy. You get Peter Quill's story for like 5 minutes at the beginning, and that was.
And
I
people
think the
needed that. They
only
didn't know the
movie-
Guardians. Nope.
But the thing about Guardians of the Galaxy is like I think that's the only movie I've ever seen where I was like, well, okay, besides Up, that and Up are the only movies where I was like crying during the first 10 minutes and didn't cry for the rest of the movie.
Hmm.
Because
Huh.
you know it has that like really upsetting like sad cancer thing at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right at the beginning? I thought they flashed back to it later.
Nah, that's right at the
No,
beginning.
it's right at the beginning.
Okay.
So I mean, but the thing is that was so effective, and he just did it, get out of the way, and now we're gonna have fun.
Well, and then they also
dance off.
they call back to it really well at the end
Yeah,
when he reaches out and takes Gamora's hand and stuff. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was
Yeah.
talking about earlier about how Guardians of the Galaxy it's very fun and silly until it's not.
and that's why James Gunn gets to make a Superman movie, and people
Yeah.
take him seriously. Because it's
Except
hard
from
to
the
make a
Snyder
Superman
fans who
movie.
will find every possible opportunity to complain about it.
We try not to think about them. I like
They are
to
quite funny.
think about it'd be funny if there's only really like 20 of them and they just have bots.
I think
know.
that no, there's one of them who has bots, and it's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, he used all the money he made from his movies just to buy like 1 billion bots. But yeah, it was very fun. You know how Facebook algorithms will just go off the reservation? There's one that was just Facebook was just showing me ads for Snyder Bro stuff content for like a few months, maybe a few years ago. It was really funny and sad.
Well, speaking
Anyway, I guess
of
this,
movies that have no backstory, I think we should make them all just like Buckaroo Banzai.
yep.
You just go in feet first, and you don't know what the hell's going on.
Honestly, I don't know what the hell is going on in that movie to the point that I'm always disoriented every time I try to watch it, but I do respect it.
That's what they were going for. It's like, why do we waste a lot of? Actually, there was a backstory in the prologue that you have to get on the special cut edition where we see kind of the origin, little black and white film from the 40s or something. But yeah, they just kind of throw you in, and just sink or swim, I guess. It makes it fun.
When I was 8 years old, I
mean-
sank, but I could give that a revisit sometime.
Oh,
I
you should.
can't say it's easier to watch as an adult, but again, just like the movie says, wherever you go, there you are. And if you want to be wherever you are after you go there, then you should go to podcastiopodcastius.org and be there, because there you can throw us some bucks for server bills. And listen to other podcasts like Luke Lowe's Pokemon Game Show, Occult Disney, Podcast 1999. Oh, Imprisoned in Prison is back soonish. And Twilight, Time Enough Podcast. So true.
Okay.
Time and Try.
Trouble.
And follow us on Blue Sky at Podcast. It's just 2.
Yeah. Okay. Mark's imperfect. We better make him disappear. He'll be half of the universe that disappears.
No, that's not fair.
I don't think you can snap on Zoom. Anyone hear that? I didn't hear your snap. I didn't hear your snap. You can't get snap. We can't do the snap on Zoom. Everyone's still here.
Snap!
All,
Wait.
all snap.
Wait. Everyone go to didthanoskill.me.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
Let's find out. I was slain by Thanos for the good of the universe.
You're right. I was killed.
I was spared.
Yay! Okay.
Oh, man. Okay.
So it's going to be a one-man podcast for most of the next episode, and then you guys can come back for. I'll do Joker
5
by
years.
myself, and you two can come back for Endgame.
Good for you.
I'm
Maybe I
dead,
will
too.
get Joker-fied
Oh,
if I
well.
try and do that whole podcast by myself.
Wait, that's 75%. That's Super Thanos time.
Oh, no. Well,
Oh, there goes my
What was
UPS
the
beacons
deal
I
with-
expected.
what's the deal with
Can you hear
Titan,
that?
No,
Do you
I
hear the
think
beeping?
Zoom has,
Okay, good.
Zoom has incredibly good noise canceling.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear that.
Anyway, are we